Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Lore Raider, and we did it! I reached 500 subscribers! Well, 536 actually, when I'm writing this, but at the same time, I'm incredibly grateful for this achievement, and thank you to everyone who helped me get there. And to celebrate this, and the fact that I'm so close to my 100th video ever made, I'll be releasing a few videos that are special to me to kind of thank you, and this is my 500 video subscriber special. Now, I know the One Villainous Scene challenge ended well over a year ago, but my first ever video was a Tomb Raider video, as shitty as it was. And one of my favorite videos of all time was my last entry into the One Villainous Scene challenge. So today I want to look at Tomb Raider's most infamous villain and use it as an opportunity to explore her character and why I love her so much. So, without further ado, let's take a look at Jacqueline Natla and her One Villainous Scene. But before we begin, I have a special announcement. This video is sponsored by absolutely no one. If you're a fan of this channel, then you know I love it when the villain of a story is sort of a dark mirror of the protagonist. This can be in a physical sense, as was the case of the SEX from Metroid Fusion, who's a corrupted, diseased version of our protagonist, Samus Aran. Or it could be an ideological difference, as we see in the split depictions of justice between Ellen Light Yagami from Death Note. However, my favorite kind of dark mirror is when the degree of morality between the hero and the villain of a story is a factor of only a few degrees, and, more importantly, when one or both parties know this. Enter Jacqueline Natla, the ancient queen of the long-lost Atlantean race who is obsessed with kickstarting evolution again into a world that she sees as weak and languishing.
Fresh meat will incite territorial rages again, will strengthen and advance us, even create new breeds.
Kind of evolution on steroids, then?
A kick in the pants. Those runts Qualopec and Tihocan had no idea. The cataclysm of Atlantis struck a race of languoring wimps, plummeted them to the very basics of survival again. It shouldn't happen like that.
Or like...
which he refers to as the Seventh Age. She was forsaken by her fellow rulers Tihocan and Qualopec and cast away. In modern day, she became the CEO of Natla Technologies with the intent of ushering in her new age. However, what has fascinated me the most about the character is her subtle but consistent respect for Lara and her good reading of Lara's character, especially in both the original and Legends timeline. When Natla captures Lara and has her at her mercy, it would have been easy to reveal the truth that she'd been the one to kill her father and knew where Lara's long-lost mother was. She is the bragging kind, after all.
Malicious irony. When I heard what happened to the wife of the great Richard Croft, I knew I could set him on a desperate quest to find what I desired most. Then he betrayed me in Thailand, and for that, I killed him myself.
Instead, she gives Lara a challenge, asking her how far she's willing to go to know the truth about Natla's plans. And while Lara hesitates, Natla leaves her alone. She knows she's going to survive because she's going to get her answer one way or another. And she does.
What is the Seventh Age?
How far are you willing to go to find out, Lara? Not far enough, I'm afraid.
However, once Lara makes it up the disgusting Atlantean pyramid and confronts Natla again, the Atlantean queen changes her tune. She recognizes that Lara, who had killed dozens of people and by this point, plenty of endangered animals, all for a dusty old artifact and made it there alive, was of equal will to her. It is here that Natla reveals that with the artifact Lara provided her, the Scion of Atlantis, she could do whatever she wishes, which is when the scene this entire video is about plays.
I now have the means to create anything I desire.
What is it you desire, Natla?
It takes 3 to rule. Tihocan and Qualopec were too weak to destroy what stands in the way of the Seventh Age. But you have the strength to claim this seat beside me. Immortality has its price. But what are a few lives to sacrifice for your dreams? Everything you've done has led you to this place. You're here because you belong here, Lara. That's who you are.
That's our one villainous scene, and there are a bunch of key takeaways. The most obvious of which is that Natla has gone from wanting Lara quickly disposed of to offering her a place as her co-regent based purely off the back of Lara's willpower. However, the second and more subtle takeaway was that Natla never actually answered Lara's question.
What is it you desire, Natla?
Natla instead turns the conversation around, confronting the hero, half praising, half condemning her. She admits plainly that Lara has the willpower, the motivation, the drive to rule with her, but also points out that both have a rather low regard for life. The game even subtly accepts this logic to be true, as Lara looks down at her hands, a very clear reference to the Angel of Darkness and how the Lara of that classic timeline game and the Lara of this game both have a lot of blood on their hands. As Natla herself says,
Lara, you really are a woman after my own heart.
And you know what? The truth of the matter is, Natla was right. In many ways, Lara Croft as a character is only a few degrees separated from the Atlantean Queen. Both were ostracized from their respective families for their motivations. For Lara, it was her want for freedom and adventure that put her at odds with her family, whilst for Natla, it was her grand ambitions. Both ignored the conventions of their respective cultures to find success on their own. Both have a relative disregard for life to some extent, and both are extremely driven to fulfill their desires, to the point it's an obsession. For Lara, this is perfectly illustrated in the final conversation between herself and her doppelganger.
What the hell are you?
I am you, with the flaws removed.
Really? Free will is a flaw?
Obsession and compulsion are much the same. Either way, we are neither of us our own masters.
So if both are so similar, and Natla was correct in her reading of Lara's character, why does Lara ultimately decide against joining her 7th age? The difference, I believe, is their respective approaches to life, and that was Natla's greatest mistake not understanding. Natla is active. She has schemes on top of schemes. She tries to drive the events of the story. Lara, meanwhile, is slow to want change. She's more passive in basically all her appearances. She doesn't create the plot kind of finds her. In the series comics, even whilst being over 200 years old, she only moves to protect her relics once her museum is about to close the day of. In the reboot trilogy, she gets the power of a god, and she could rebuild the world as she sees fit, but decides to change nothing at all. In the original timeline, Lara finds herself wrapped up into the criminal underworld in Angel of Darkness due to events beyond her control. Lara has a stake in the status quo, because it's only with the status quo that she can continue to pursue her passions, her obsessions. Tomb raiding. So in a way, Jacqueline Natla was correct. Lara is driven enough to rule, and she drops more than a few bodies to get what she wants. What Natla failed to realize, and too late I might add, was that Lara's obsessions were directed at a goal diametrically opposed to hers. Which is a damn shame. What was Natla's desires? To have someone to rule with.
It shouldn't happen like that.
Or like this. Hatching commences in 15 seconds.
Too late for abortions now.
Not without the heart of the operation.
No!